Well, good morning. Trucker Todd here. It's actually late at night here. I'm waiting to get unloaded in the morning. And you can tell by my eyes I'm tired. While I should be sleeping, there's something on my mind I wanted to share with you guys. We need to talk about the birth of steering wheel holders. Now, there's a lot of reasons how they're created, and we're going to talk about one of them that I think is a big reason we have them here today. Now, for those of you that don't know what a steering wheel holder is, in trucking, that is a pretty big insult when somebody calls you a steering wheel holder. Basically, it's someone that doesn't take pride in their job. They're just there doing the bare minimum they can get by with, just earning a paycheck. They don't care about being professional or doing the right thing. And for a long time, I thought that the steering wheel holder was created by low pay. And that turned out to be maybe a portion of it, but not all of it. As I was thinking about it and preparing this video, I got to thinking I could probably do 2 or 3 weeks worth of videos on all of the big problems in trucking right now. But then I thought, well, it's the trainers that are training the new guys in. And again, while that may be a part of it, I think there's an even bigger part that we've all overlooked. And I'm going to share that with you today. Look, one thing that everybody agrees on is that in the last 18 months, we have lost 75,000 truckers. That's right, you heard me correctly. There are 75,000 less truck drivers than there were just 18 months ago. So something's going on where truck driving is not an appealing option for people. You and I both know that there's a lot of reasons for that. Maybe it's time away from home. Maybe it's living conditions. It takes a special person to be a truck driver. And I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it, as you know myself. So in this video, I'm going to tell you maybe something you hadn't thought of. This may be one of those videos that you got to watch a couple of times because there's a lot of meat here, and it's not one that you can just watch the first 5 minutes and jump out of. So you guys hang with me. Let's get through this video, and then send me an email or a comment and tell me what you think the problems in trucking are. I'm taking a week off after I deliver this load in the morning. I got to go to my dad's house and do some things, so I'll be shooting the next 2 or 3 videos probably from his house or in the surrounding area. And so we'll definitely be touching on this some more in the future, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Here we go.
And this is why I do this, why I'm out here, why I keep that hammer down, flying by these road signs with home on my mind, with these wheels turning round, for my family and for my kids, for this life I wanna live. And this is why I do this.
Hey, Trucker Todd here, and today's video is sponsored by the fine folks at Mudflap. If you're not familiar with the Mudflap app, they offer you ways to save money on fuel. And if you click the link in my description below, you'll receive $10 off the first time you use their app to fill up if you do it within the first 5 days. So why not give them a shot? You could save 20, 30, even 50 cents or more per gallon on diesel. And you don't have to be a truck driver to use it. If you use diesel, you can use this app. So look down in the description below for the link to receive that savings for being a viewer of this channel. All right, let's jump right into the regularly scheduled video. Alrighty, we're back. And before we jump in, I'm going to make this really quick because we got a lot to get to. I don't want this video to be too long. Give me a thumbs up. Share this video on your social media platforms. In the descriptions, a lot of great information. You guys check that out. My email is there. Feel free to email me. My Instagram's there. You guys know that I work at Dart Transit, and I'm very happy there. If you want to know more information about them, that information is there as well. Also, I think it's key to point out that this video is not specifically about Dart Transit. They've got their problems like any other company, and we may hit on that in a video here pretty soon. But as you would agree with me, I'm sure, when you lose 75,000 drivers in 18 months, there's a problem not with the company, but industry-wide. And so that's something we're going to look at today. So how do we get steering wheel holders? How do we get guys that don't care about their job? They're just out here to get a paycheck. They don't have any pride in their work or care if they do a good job or care about safety. Well, I want to start off with a couple of things. I remember, now, for those that haven't heard me mention it before, most of my childhood and adolescence, my dad was a cotton farmer. And so we worked on the farm a lot in the summer and stuff like that when we weren't in school. And he had a 1972 Ford pickup that was Kermit the Frog green. It started off as a column shift 3-speed up on the column, and some of you young guys may not even know what that is now. Hang on, I gotta pause it and put it on the charger. And then later, when that column 3-speed went out, he put a 4-speed on the floor that had a granny gear, which, for those that don't know what that is, it's a super low gear to help you with towing and stuff when you're first taking off. Some trucks also used to have something similar. Excuse me. So, the thing that I was trying to get to, I said all that to say this. In those old pickup trucks, you had to kind of road walk them down the steering wheel. They weren't as precise in steering as they are now. There was a lot of play in the steering wheel, and you had to concentrate to stay in your lane. Nowadays, we have all this technology, and I'm not against technology. You guys that know me well know that I typically have a pretty top-of-the-line cell phone. I've got a smartwatch. I embrace technology. I've got 3 tablets. I think I've got 3. I've got a laptop. I don't have a problem with technology. But the problem is, when you had that old pickup truck, you had to focus on driving. You couldn't text and drive and shift and do all the things you had to do. For a large part of that pickup's life, it didn't even have a radio in it. And I think at some point we put an AM radio in it or something, if I remember correctly. So you didn't worry, you didn't have any distractions. It was crank windows. Now we've got lane keeping assist. We've got predictive cruise control, adaptive cruise control. All these things that take the power away from the driver to drive his vehicle. Now, when I started driving, if you were to ask the average driver getting into driving, what brought you into truck driving? Most of them would say freedom, not having a boss looking over my shoulder, the open roads, seeing the country, things like that. Now we've got dash cams facing in the cab, facing out in front, and all these other things. And here's the best part. We've got people coaching you, watching you drive, and calling you and correcting you if you make any mistakes. Armchair quarterbacks, let's call them. Okay, let's think about that for a second. Do you want to be micromanaged? I've heard war stories. As I said, this video is not about Dart necessarily. Crete, for example, has a reputation of micromanaging their drivers, and even calling them when their 10-hour breaks up, say, waking them up, say, hey, don't you need to be driving? Things like that. And I don't think that's very appealing to people nowadays to be micromanaged, to think, hey, if I get my CDL, I won't have freedom like those guys had in the past. I'll have somebody looking over my shoulder and second guessing everything I do. Again, here's where I think some of our other distracted driving problems come in. you've got all these things driving the truck for you. So you've got guys that are texting, watching YouTube videos. By the way, if you're watching my YouTube videos when you drive, don't. I'm not that handsome. Put the phone screen down, play it through your Bluetooth, and listen to me while you drive. If there's something visual, when you get parked, you can go back and watch the visual. But you can hear me through your radio while you're driving, and it's much safer and it's legal. But if you're texting and doing all this other stuff while you're driving, now, you guys know, you've heard me say I use voice to text when I drive. And if my wife's with me, I just let her text and answer emails. I tell her what to say and she types it in my phone for me. But I think that's where some of the problem comes in. People don't feel as engaged with their equipment because they've got all these other devices that have taken the driving experience away from the driver. And so that's kind of my take on that. It's a real shame because with all this technology, if you have a wreck, you know, I've shared with you guys, mine has the adaptive cruise control where it keeps the following distance with the truck, with the vehicle in front of you. The problem with it is if you go under an overpass, sometimes it thinks it's a fixed object and it'll slam on the brakes. Now, the safety department would tell you, oh, well, it only slows you down 5 miles an hour. Maybe, maybe not. But it sure feels like a lot more when it does it. Also, here we go. We just talked about all these cars, that how much better they drive now. All these technologies that are now being included in most new automobiles, especially if you get a fancy one. So you've got Joe Sixpack or Jane Soccer Mom or whatever you want to call them behind you, and they're texting on their phone and they're yelling at kids in the back seat. You go under an overpass, this thing slams on the brakes and they rear end you. The driver's still responsible, and I think that's what everybody forgets. You know, these companies love to say, you're the captain of your ship, you're the captain of your ship, and they usually say it in bad weather conditions. You know, if you think it's too dangerous to drive, go ahead and pull over. And they usually say it more in orientation than they do when you're actually out there under a load. When you're under a load, they're like, oh, the shipper or the receiver really needs that load. And they're like, how quick can you get out? And they're calling every 2 or 3 hours. How quick can you go? How quick can you go? And so, but that's dangerous. And that's, you know, that armchair quarterback that we talked about that's analyzing everything you do. Well, you should have done this. You could have done that. You should have approached this exit or corner 3 miles an hour slower or something like that. They've got the advantage of seeing something that's already taken place. You're making split-second, on-the-fly decisions. And by the way, while we're on there for a minute, let's talk about these safety advisors, these VPs of safety, and things like that. What are their qualifications? And I'm not meaning that arrogantly or disrespectfully. They know our qualifications. They run us through the ringer before they hire us. They get 10 years of work history. They look at your MVR, your DAC, all this other stuff. But is the guy that's coaching you on the other end of the phone, could he drive your truck if he has to? Does he have a CDL? Or what is his qualifications? Did he just watch 2 or 3 hours worth of videos? Could I tell Tom Brady how to win a Super Bowl if I watched a few hours worth of videos? Could I tell Tiger Woods before his accident how to be a great golfer prior to him winning a Masters or something just by watching a few videos? No, I could watch any of them compete. Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, any of them. An NBA star of your liking, Michael Jordan when his day was around. And I could watch a game afterwards and say, oh, well, you should have done this. Oh, you should have done that. That doesn't mean I could step out onto the court and play. And the same is true with your safety advisors and your VPs of safeties. look, they got great intentions. I'm not saying they don't. But what are their qualifications? They're telling you about road conditions and situations in parts of the country that they may have never been to. They may have never experienced Oklahoma City traffic, or Houston traffic, or Los Angeles traffic, or New York City traffic. But they've watched a couple of videos and now all of a sudden they're an expert. The guy that's coaching you and watching your dash cam video may have worked at Wendy's in the drive-thru 3 weeks earlier. You don't know. And for that reason, I think that these people should be experienced drivers. There's plenty, if 75,000 of them have got out of the industry in the last 18 months, I'm sure at least a few of them are currently looking for employment now. I'm sure they would tell you, well, coronavirus, blah, 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 blah. I'm not denying that some of you drivers really had a hard time during the coronavirus, especially if you pull flatbed and you hauled a lot of construction materials and things like that. It was probably a tough market for you. For the most part during that time, I was pulling LTL, and I did really well, and I still do really well. And if this ended tomorrow and I wasn't able to work here anymore, I'd do very well at the next company I went to. Because there's certain business factors that play in that once you understand them, you can be successful pretty much anywhere. And as you guys know, I coach a lot of guys and help a lot of guys to try to improve their financial situation out here as well. That's not bragging. That's not saying that I know everything. I've got guys that I call and ask for advice. But if you can take a couple of guys with you along the way, why not? Why not improve somebody else's life? And I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. You know, you guys will pull into a truck stop and you'll see a guy struggling to back into a spot, and guys will pull out their cameras and video them and put it on YouTube, or they'll laugh at them and make fun of them. But I would say probably 1 in 10 will actually go over there and try to help them back in, guide them, things like that. And I'm as guilty as the next guy. If it's raining or cold, I don't want to get out either. But there was a time in trucking that guys used to get out and help each other and look out for each other. When my Uncle Bud started truck driving, truck drivers were called Knights of the Highway, and he would dress, I'm talking real nice button-up shirt, nice jeans, cowboy boots, what a lot of people would wear to Sunday church. Now we got guys out here with flip-flops. They look like they just left the beach. And, you know, maybe in another video we can debate what the proper clothing to wear out here is. But it just, I would worry personally wearing flip-flops at a truck stop because of all the potholes and things like that. You could stub your toe and possibly get an infection, something like that. A lot of these warehouses won't let you wear open-toed shoes, but even if they did, something could fall on your foot. You could have a foot injury. And while I guess the same thing's true with tennis shoes, and I realize steel-toed boots aren't as comfortable for 11 hours a day of driving, I just think that there's really been a decline in taking pride in your work. And so I think I probably should just wrap that up there. Like I said, I'll be curious to see what you guys think. And I'm waiting on some stuff to come back to me later this week. I may do a whole series on problems I see in the trucking industry here in the real near future. Do a couple of weeks on it. Same type of deal as like I did when I did my series on how to be successful in a lease purchase. If you guys hadn't seen that, type that into the search deal and those videos will come up. There's quite a few of them. All right, y'all have a great day. As I said, I'm about to take a week off, but that doesn't mean that I'll be off YouTube. So feel free to contact me. We'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.